Hello everyone, my name is Edward James Tagg, and today I'm going to be talking about how to remove one coat of paint with this PAL coating remover in New Zealand, PAL coating remover. Now I'm not going to use Sally's or any kind of paint stripper because they're very toxic. Now I don't know where this one says, but if you look at it says water-based, biodegradable, non-flammable, virtually odorless and non-toxic and environmentally safe, and also sea to sky, whatever that means. But it's a wonderful product, so I suppose I am pushing this product. Paint Aids Limited, PO Box 73161, Auckland Airport, Manukau 2150, New Zealand. www.paintaids.co.nz. Now I'm really promoting this because it's just amazing. It really, and so this is a Durcop 206-3, and here's the problem, is that someone's done a really bad restoration job. Not this here, but back here. If you see back here, you'll see the demarcation of where the old asphaltum, paint process is, and right over here they've painted it with a modern paint. And when you get scratches right here, and they didn't like those scratches, so they painted there. And they also painted under here, it always gets removed, so they painted there. And I've been trying to reverse the bad restoration job on this vintage sewing machine. And so what I've been doing is you can use a toothbrush or just a brush, and just apply it liberally to the areas that are a problem. Now I'm going to do something really funny now. I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to move it around with my finger. You can literally paint it on with your finger like this because it's non-toxic. I mean, don't drink or eat this stuff, but it's so non-toxic. And I've had dermatitis from lots of dangerous chemicals. I can't show you on this hand, but the backs of my fingers here. And I have suffered from dermatitis, see there? From using toxic bad chemicals before. So I'm super sensitive English gentleman here, using dangerous chemicals or trying not to use dangerous chemicals because of dermatitis problems. But all joking aside, I'm now moving it around with my fingers. So you can apply this stuff, and I think in the instructions it says something like, I'll wipe that off. I think in instructions it says 1 hour. So it says directions, prior to painting, blah de blah de blah, must be completely dry, blah de blah. Storage, blah de blah. Painter's manufacturing guidelines, go. I don't like it when they write all that blurb, because I don't know what they're talking about. Recommended use, preparation, here it is. Suitable cloth, bloody. I never read this stuff because I'm just too lazy. A minimum dwell time of 1 hour. When removing high solid specialty coatings during a 12 hours, whatever. Okay, so basically they say 1 hour for this stuff. Now, what happens is that this is where I was previously. Like if you look right here, see there's some bubbling. So that's what you want. When you start seeing bubbling, then you know you're good to go. You're on the money, so to speak. And then this stuff over here, this will start bubbling and looking like that. So sometimes that happens within about 10 minutes. And so if after 10 minutes you see enough of the bubbling, you can get a Scotch-Brite pad. And I tend to use like a really rough old dirty Scotch-Brite pad. These are Chuck's Scara pads. Scotch-Brite, I think, is the original company, and I use an old one that I found actually on my workshop garden floor, and I just scrub away. And I use some denatured alcohol, which in the English lingua is what we call methylated spirits, or just meths, which comes in purple. And then I just liberally pour it onto my Scotch pad, and I just start polishing off like this. And what's really, really nice underneath is I want that rust, because I'm going to do a good restoration job on this, but I'm kind of not going to do it like because I'm a trained London antique restorer and wood carver in the 80s and the 90s during the Thatcher years, and also worked in Italian restoration firms like Titian Studios, run by Rodrigo Titian, who wrote a book on gilding. So I know my stuff, you know, but I'm going to use Evapo-Rust on some of the metallic pieces, and I'm going to use Autosol car polish to make everything nice and shiny that wants to be shiny. But for the paintwork, I'm just going to remove the bad previous job, and you can see that. See here, here's a really good, almost while we've been doing this video, and this video is now at 5 minutes 40 seconds, it's already bubbling. So how beautiful is that I can even show you during the video. And once I start polishing, see, it's literally coming off now. So I'm really, really happy that I can actually show you working. So after 5 minutes, you can take that off and you can get down to the asphaltum black that was there originally. And there it is. That's just so beautiful. And then once you get down to the rust, I don't really care. I'm just going to polish it a bit more. I'm going to get rid of a little bit of the rust. If I rub really, really hard, it'll get down to some bare steel, sort of. But I'm not going to shine it. I'm just going to get down to that nice dull steel, because this was a heavy duty machine for sewing leather, and women or men or whomever making saddles or whatever saddlery, they would have rubbed their hands through this area back and forth, and it would have got worn off. And I just want to keep it at that level. A museum conservator doesn't want to make it look pretty again. They just want to make it look old and original, and that's kind of what I'm going for. So once I get to that stage and all my bubbling is happening, so see back here, that's just so wonderful. So all of that's just off now, and basically this video is teaching you that sometimes idiots or morons or drongos come along and they think they're going to do a great job in prettying up, but they just don't know what they're doing. And my apologies for any judgments to any idiots, drongos and morons and nongs out there, but yeah, I just want to take it to that stage. And when I'm at that stage, there's a number of things you can do. I mean, if you don't like rust and you're scared of rust, you can use CRC rust converter, and if you spray that on, I think it's called phosphoric acid. I think that's what all rust converters are. Don't quote me, but it's one of those acids, and it's not even written on here, but it should say, well, no, it doesn't. I think it's phosphoric acid. And anyway, it reacts with the rust, and it leaves behind this nice black surface that is a primer. It actually interacts chemically with the rust and produces a primer, and then you can paint on that surface. And I use an AE12 acid etch primer, and then I just go with whatever. Now on previous cases I've actually used 2-part epoxies. Now this is a wood filler, so don't use CRC Builder's Bog 2-part A and B, don't use that, but I do have other products that I've got down here. Like here's a Epiglass hardener part B, and I've also used the West system. Now the West system part A and B, in my opinion, is a lot more liquidy, which means less viscous, and I don't like the West system because the West system is too fluid. So, but in the past I've actually mixed 2-part epoxy and I've painted it on very, very carefully and with a brush, and I've allowed it to flow. And because the thing is that the asphaltum bitumen, or whatever you call it, was there previously, that's quite thick. So if you want to reach that level and not have these raised edges, you might want to get what they call a high build primer. But in the past I've even used epoxy glue as a primer on top of AE12 acid etch primer on top of CRC rust converter. I suppose I'm pushing a lot of products, but because I do restoration of sewing machines, and I've got 96 sewing machines, I'm going to teach you about the products I use. But primarily what my goal is today is to use this amazing product, PAL Coating Remover, to remove just one coat, and that's what I've done. So there's a little bit of the old paint previously. I'm not sure, is that still going? Yeah, that there is a bit of, is that, yeah, that's the person's, but here's the asphaltum there, and that's it really. So I want to take it to that level, and then after that, for me personally, what I'm going to do, when I've got to about this level, where most of the rust is removed, I'm going to add a Zinsser bullseye shellac, and I'm going for clear. Now clear transparent, it's also called blonde, and you've got to be really critically picky about this, because you're looking for no wax, has to be called de-waxed. Now I think this one is not de-waxed, no beeswax, it's got to be de-waxed. So no wax, and go for clear or blonde. And Zinsser, Z-I-N-S-S-E-R, bullseye shellac, comes as close as I want. Now the reason you want to do that is because if you've got decals, like right down here I've got the word Durkop, and when you get those pretty gold decals, you don't want to hide that with an orange shellac, because shellac is generally a very deep ruby orange colour, and it'll taint and put an orange wash over all of your pretty decals, and you don't want that. So that's why you want to go for clear, blonde, or shellac. As you can see, I haven't worked on any of the rust yet. That's Evapo-Rust does most of that, and I finish off with the Autosol car polish. I'm also talking about products, and then so the stages of this are removing the drongo who tried to paint a vintage sewing machine. I'm just going to leave it like that and pretend that I'm back in the Victorian days, or World War II days, when they were using this all the time. And then to protect it from further damage, I'll put a few coats of shellac on there, and I've got another video where I teach you how to do French polishing. And then I'm going to finish off with whoops, it fell on my foot, with Mother's Carnauba wax. Now Carnauba, C-A-R-N-A-U-B-A, or just C-A-R-N-U-B-A, I think. Carnauba is one of the strongest, most dense waxes you can buy. Now this Mother's Carnauba wax, pure Brazilian, is actually very expensive. I think this was between 50 or 80 New Zealand dollars, but it's still good, it's strong. Now here's one I've got that just fell on the floor, and if you're a boatie, this one's called Star Bright boat wax, and this is even more dense, and I think this one's made in Florida. Star Bright Corp, Florida. Yep, Florida. So those I'd finish with the Mother's Carnauba after I've done the Zinsser clear blonde shellac, and then that will be as strong as and right as rain. I want to promote a few, and there's a non-lint cloth that you would be polishing after your Mother's. Now I also want to put a yell out to Gojo. Make sure it's non-pumice. I'm going to repeat that one more time. Make sure your Gojo hand cleaner is non-pumice, and it has to be the original formula. And you cannot buy this in New Zealand. You cannot buy this in New Zealand. I had a friend in Phoenix, Arizona physically mail me this, and this cost a huge amount of money. So generally a lot of vintage sewing machine enthusiasts love this stuff, and they swear by it. I'm trying to get that off with one hand. And that's what it looks like. It looks like a hand cleaner, but when you put it in all the crevices, or when you put it amongst all your muck, it just does a wonderful job. But I'm not going to do that now. But Gojo is the go-to. Gojo is the go-to for cleaning sewing machines, and that's my precious amount that I've got there. A shout out to a few other products. Obviously, when you're cleaning a sewing machine, the most reliable one you want of all is just plain straight hold Singer sewing machine oil. They also nickname it SMO. So if you see SMO written on an article, it means Singer machine oil, and you can just just polish that around with a cloth and just rub it around liberally. The other thing I want to mention is I got this product recently on Boxing Day this year, 2023 or 2022, and it's CRC Exoff. Now, they're going to be unhappy with me for saying this. It does say concentrate. It says non-toxic, which I really love, so I don't have any problems with dermatitis, because I was having major problems washing sewing machines with kerosene, and I was getting major skin problems. Now at the back here it says, use confidently on. Use confidently on all metals, alloys will not damage bright metals including aluminium or aluminum or brass. Safe on fiberglass, glass, plastics, rubber, painted surfaces, laminates. Use confidently on painted surfaces. Now, unfortunately, CRC Exoff failed for me because I did a little test. This is called a split pillow box bearing, and this was a pretty green colour. It was bright green paint. I know it was vintage, and sure, it was a bit weathered and looking old, but that was green, and it is no longer green. I can show you another photograph, but it was actually this colour green, that lovely lime green, although it was dirty. And this CRC Exoff actually behaved like a paint stripper. It totally removed all of the paint. It was really good on the grease. I mean, there was actually grease inside this cap. Deep inside this cap, it was full with grease. Absolutely full. The dogs next door are barking like insanely at the moment. So anyway, inside this cap, there was a ton. It takes a long time to screw this off with one hand. But you know what these grease caps on these things are anyway. Yeah, it takes such a long time, right? So inside this grease cap, that was full of grease. That deep. It was like ½ an inch deep with grease, and in there. And when I put the CRC Exoff degreaser in there, it removed all of the grease. There was just nothing left. It was just pure, bright, clean metal in there. Now I have another product that I've also used for degreasing, and it's called Tergosol. Tergosol, I think. Tergosol. And Tergosol is really amazing for degreasing, but I'm safely going to use this one in the future because it's non-toxic, non-corrosive, non-flammable, biodegradable, blah-de-blah-de-blah. But do not put this product anywhere near your sewing machine decals or paintwork, because it'll strip all the paint off just like a paint stripper. So I'm sorry, CRC, but your quote, safely on all painted surfaces, is incorrect. But then you'd probably say to me, oh well, Mr. Tag, you didn't water it down. It's a concentrate. You have to water it down. And I did not. So you would be correct, but I'm not happy with that as a product, and I won't go anywhere near it again. So just to recap, if you have someone who's restored a sewing machine and they're a bit of a gourmet-soul, and they've just painted it over the top, and you say, okay, I'm not happy with that, I would like to restore it like a museum conservator to its original former glory, or workable glory, you know, with rust and everything like this, and I'm going to polish off some of the rust. Well then, you can't go wrong with PAL coating remover. See, it says paint stripper there, but they're not allowed to call it a paint stripper, I don't think, because that's a Sally's brand name, possibly, I'm not sure. So Sally's or any other paint stripper would never allow you to do this. They'd never allow you to use your finger as a paintbrush. I mean, you'd actually get dermatitis and you'd be in pain by this stage, but this stuff is amazing. It probably passes a number of international laws on toxicity because it's just so friendly. It's just the business. So that's it. And as you can see, I left it on for 5 minutes and 40 seconds and already it was doing its job, although it recommends 1 hour. And even if you use it on other paint or wood or furniture, God, it's amazing. It is the best product I think that's ever been invented on planet Earth. So anyway, I think I'm talking too long, and that is me signing off. I do have a pretty face, but you're not seeing my face today because I haven't had a shower and a bath, and I don't look as wonderful as I ordinarily could do. But normally I give talks about, normally on Facebook I give talks about spirituality and angels and inner child healing, so I'm not doing that today. This is my love, which is collecting and restoring sewing machines. So I think that's me signing off. Bless you and have a lovely day.